welcome to Gana Short. Gana Short में आप सबका स्वागत है. Today I have with me Gen Rajiv Narayanan, and we're going to talk about the turbulent global order and India's way ahead. Well, everyone knows it's turbulent. It's going to be turbulent, but we'll come to that. And everyone knows there's a global order. But what is this thing called global order? Very few people seem to be understanding what this issue of global order is. First, we'll have a look at that, and then we will take up other issues. Okay. Now, the global order, in a loose manner, it refers to the arrangement of power and authority that provides a framework for the conduct of diplomacy and geopolitics on a global scale. And this framework is often referred to as the rules-based order. And this is affected through global institutions like UN, World Bank, IMF, WTO, UNCLOS, and the likes, right? And the whole story is driven by the great powers, the middle powers, and then the lesser powers in their hierarchy. For the past 10, 15 years, it was accepted virtually that USA was the great power, a superpower, almost the unipolar world converted into a multipolar world. Whatever you say, USA was the biggest power. China was striving to catch up with it. And then the lesser orders, middle powers like India, Russia, and all these came. That is under change. The way Trump has come back into USA and is promising change, a lot of things are going to change in USA. It appears so. On the other hand, you see China struggling. It's gone into a recession, it's gone into a decline, and its economy is not likely to revive, and many other things which General Rajiv Narayanan will explain. So it's not able to contribute to the global order. In fact, it wants to have its own order still. Look at Russia, another great power. It is stuck in a war for the past 3 years. People say its economy is flourishing and everything is fine, but war economies rarely flourish after the war ends. And I think both Ukraine and Russia have come to a state of exhaustion where they have seek peace one way or the other. And then you look at Syria. Whatever has happened in Syria has completely changed the course of the Middle East. Whatever the order which existed in the Middle East has been broken. And something new is to come up, no one knows. Till a month back, we were all thinking of the power Iran was projecting all over the Middle East through its affiliates, Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas, and all that. Today, Iran is viewed. I have not heard a word from Iran for the past 1 month. So, after whatever has happened in Syria, a lot of things are changing. So, in this context, how does India conduct its business? That's the million-dollar question with us. And that's what General Rajiv Narayanan is going to speak of, and we'll pick his brains for that. Rajiv, sorry for this longish introduction.
No issue. You set the platform. And to the people, I'm looking at it more. Gen Shankar, we have been speaking about the geopolitical situation and what India needs to do. This, I will give you a geo-economic perspective, place certain issues that you need to look at. If you can grab this opportunity, like we have been telling, this strategic window that you're getting is just about 10, max 20 years. If you don't grab this opportunity, thank you very much. It doesn't come. And you'll get it after multiple generations, when we don't know. To add to what Gen Shankar had mentioned, Europe and EU is also facing a big internal strife. Nationalists versus Islamists versus leftists all together. And it's coming out on the streets. In our own neighborhood, you find on one side, Pakistan is imploding. On the other side, Bangladesh is stuck in a quagmire. And North Myanmar is out of control of the military junta there. That's the way it is, and you really don't know which way Nepal and Maldives will go. Sri Lankan PM has come, but they're not yet out of the woods. They're still struggling. So while we have seen in the extended neighborhood he has given of the Middle East what has happened, our immediate neighborhood is also not a secure place. It's in strife. The PRC economy is tanking big time. Their own economists are telling now that even if they put in today 1 trillion yuan, the economy cannot survive, because essential problem is the overcapacity that he made and refusing to accept that they put overcapacity in place. And his market was US and Europe. I'll touch on that, what's happened to them. So he's finding it a problem. Once his GDP, 70% of his GDP was through exports. The latest report says that his exports has tanked to 37%. That is half generally of what it used to provide. 30% used to be based on the realty sector, and whatever little was left was essentially going to be through internal consumption, which was nothing. After Evergrande, the number 2, Wanze or something is the company's name, that has tanked, applied for bankruptcy. And why he's saying even if he puts $1 trillion, they're trying to do the same thing again. What earlier they called the local government financial vehicles, where the local governments were allowing the provincial banks to issue bonds. So instead of, they've just changed the nomenclature and says we will permit the local governments to give bonds for land. You're doing the same thing again. That's what has created the NPAs. And number 2, who's got the money to buy your bonds? The Aam Aadmi in China has no money. And under all this comes the scrutiny on the efficacy of the UN, which was the central hub of the world, the rules-based order that General Shankar has spoken of. The UN itself is coming under deeper and deeper scrutiny by the nations that it is not delivering what it was supposed to. So what exactly is the evolving scenario? Thanks to Ukraine war, the 2 main pillars of European economy, Germany and France, their economy has tanked. Germany was the heart of the manufacturing hub of Europe, and it was the heart of the automobile industry. Volkswagen, BMW, Bosch, which makes all those spare parts and everything, and Daimler. Anything between 7,500 to 10,000 workers have been given the pink slip. That's the status. France, similar. And if the 2 main economies on which the European economy was surviving because all the MSMEs and ancillaries were in other places, if these economies have tanked, what happens to the rest? Keep that at the back of your mind. Next, Netherlands has openly come out and said that we are facing recession. Last 2 quarters, they have faced recession. Germany is still not coming out, but it is known that last 3 quarters, they have faced recession. Recession means negative growth. The rest of the countries currently are openly saying they are facing stagflation. So there is no purchasing power left, and that tells you, link it to 37% export by the Chinese. खरीदारी के खरीदने वाले के पास पैसे नहीं है, क्या खरीदेगा? There's nothing left. US economy also is stalling. People are worried. This year, this financial year, January to December, they've just released the report, 1.5% is the growth. And they are worried. At the moment, what has been targeted for 2025 is 2.5%. Will they achieve it is a big question mark. China itself, because of the tanking of the economy, you find there are disruptions and factions within the CPC which cannot be controlled. That is how Xi Jinping himself has come out openly and said that yes, in a big party like this, there will be fissures. And so mount until you till your second term, did you accept fishers? Chaps were purged and executed. And today you say, means you can't do anything. What are you going to do? PLA themselves have fishers. Now it's out in the open, the fight between 𝙒𝙬𝙤𝙦 and Xi Jinping to take control of PLA and CMC. August, the reports are now coming out. There was a colonel whom Xi Jinping wanted to purge for corruption. He shot 2 of the 4 investigators and committed suicide. In October, a senior colonel, which is a brigadier, was similarly being questioned by the Corruption and Discipline Investigation Committee sent by Xi Jinping. He killed all 4, and their guards killed that brigadier. And reports are coming out that PLA army officers, colonels above, lieutenant colonels and above, are moving around with armed weapons. Ye halat PLA ki. If the officers themselves are going to fight amongst each other, do you expect that what will happen? So the shades are coming out of the start of a power struggle in China, PRC to be precise. And in that, I had spoken about Liu Yuan, who is the son of Liu Shaoqi, who was purged by Mao and who had taken control of the princelings year before last from October, November. He has written an open letter to the CPC, the Politburo, that the way it is going, CPC will lose control of PRC, and he has demanded that Xi Jinping be sacked. That he is the reason why this situation has come about. But what others have also not covered in that is, he has openly come out and said already since year before last October that the way ahead for China is a parliamentary socialistic democracy. Now, that's a big no-no as far as CPC is concerned. So now the power struggle is coming out. What comes out, we don't know. Though some rumors have been coming out that the March plenum, he is likely to be left only as the chairman, Xi Jinping. 𝙒𝙬𝙤𝙦 will be nominated as the head of chairman
CMC.
CM. And who comes? Wang Huning's name is coming for the general secretary, but it's still not clear who will be the general secretary. If there is a strife, internal strife, that it is still a major supply chain hub, at least for the low and medium technology. It is there for high tech also. That is where the trade war with the US and the West is going on. But for medium and low tech, it is still a major supply chain hub that could get disrupted. Because if there is strife, then there is strife everywhere. And then the factories don't work, then what are you going to do? It has another impact. I'll come to it later. And like Gen Shankar had said, Ukraine and Gaza is not ending in a hurry at the moment. It will drag some more. Exhaustion has come already between Ukraine and Russia. How long it takes for Israel and Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran to get exhausted, time will tell. But the implosion of Syria has created its own dynamics. So that is why I say the Gaza war may not end in such a hurry. Since it has imploded, what Israel has done is he's gone upwards of the Golan Heights and further away from the Golan Heights to give him buffer. And he wants to put in his people out there. How the present warlords in Syria will accept it, time will tell. So it is a major cause for concern that the Middle East strife, to put it, is not going to end in a hurry. Because people are already talking, after Syria, could Iran be next? What? Will they target hardliners? Will they repeat something like the Arab Spring or what they did in Bangladesh? Bangladesh, the army was silent. Will the IRGC be silent? So it is a turmoil in that area, and it's quite close to our borders. And we have imploding Pak and Bangladesh in strife. It has a direct implication for our security. That we have to be very clear about. You take Bangladesh, 3 sides are covered by India. The 4th side is Bay of Bengal. So if something is to happen, it will happen across which border? All sides is you are there. Pakistanis, will they go to Afghanistan? Whatever will happen towards your side again. And the biggest worry about imploding Pakistan is the control of the nukes. What happens to the nukes? Now the Pak government is already talking to Imran Khan. What gives? What's happening? Control of the nukes becomes important. America has sanctioned them because they made an ICBM. But which way? Should we talk to Saudi Arabia, US, IAEA and neutralize? It's not going to be easy. So that's another major challenge that you have, that if it implodes, what happens to the nuclear weapons? Everyone has said that you are likely to be the fulcrum around which the future global order is likely to evolve. And you have to grab this opportunity. You're likely to be the fulcrum. So if you have to be the fulcrum, you have to grab the opportunity. Now, if European economy is tanking, China is tanking, US is still there. It may be facing a bit of a slowdown in economy. It's still there. You are there. We all talk. Everybody is talking that now comes multipolarity. Who are these countries which are going to form the multipolarity?
That's a good one. पोल है कहाँ? पोल
बचा
नहीं है,
कौन
सारे होल में है. नहीं
बचा कौन? सब
सारे.
तो होल में टैंक करके जा रहे हैं. तो what is this
See,
multipolarity we are talking of?
the way I look at it, it's not anymore multipolar, it is multi-holer. क्योंकि सारे holes में है. We're
So,
all going into holes.
Mr. Jaishankar also said we are going towards a multipolar world. I'd like to know which are these poles. Okay, US is
Holes.
there. Who are the others? Russia? Who else? West Asia is in turmoil. You don't know how much time it will take and in what shape and what manner will it come out of it now, the way things are going. Africa, there's still a lot of mileage to cover. Latin America, there's still a lot of mileage to cover. Japan, South Korea, would you consider them as poles? So, when we say multipolarity, question to be asked is which are these powers which are creating this
Holes.
multipolarity? I don't see. So that's why it's a big question mark. In what shape the global order is going to come about? And I call it, this is India's opportunity to lose. Why? You have this opportunity to create yourself as a major regional supply chain hub. Let's be clear, everything in China is not going to come. So that funda has to be cleared. So why? As far as Japan is concerned, South Korea is concerned, Taiwan is concerned, and to a large extent, Vietnam is also concerned. They would prefer the MSMEs to be in China, which is natural. It makes marketing sense. Cost of transportation of goods for them, for their companies to integrate is much less compared to if he puts it in India and he has to traverse all the way up to go to them. So you should look yourself that I can be a major global supply chain hub. Good. We've been talking about it a long time. It seems the center has a plan. Do the states and business houses have a plan? I have not heard any state ruled by any party have any plan. कि सेंटर बोलेगा हम करेंगे. अरे भाई, have you got a plan? Have the business houses got a plan that how can you make use of this opportunity? Have the business houses, the FICCI and CII done any study that to make use of this opportunity, what are the existing policies that the government is following that A, need to be amended, B, need to be scrapped, what new policies should come up? Why are you waiting only for when the budget is coming that you'll go and talk to the government? Can't you do it before? Who stopped you? I don't see that happening. You're ready to cry that government is not changing. Have you pushed the government to say, I want this change? Let's be clear. The bureaucracy which is there are generalists. The business houses know the problems they face when they want to do something in business. Then you should flag those things. Similarly, the states should make their study and SWOT analysis of what are your strengths, which supply chain companies would you like to bring to your state. Every state has its own expertise. What do you want to bring in? It's all nice to say that, okay, I'm making this corridor, that corridor good, but लाना क्या चाहते हो आप अंदर? किसको लाना चाहते हो? क्या absorb कर सकते हो? I don't see that. Along with that, have 𝗖𝗍𝘗, CII and the respective states also worked out that if I bring these companies, what is the kind of infrastructure, the energy, the resources that I need? This is something different. Some other company you're going to bring here to make it a supply chain. Uske raw material resources kahan se aa rahe hain aapko? Have you even thought through? How are you going to get it? ऐसे ही नहीं हो जाता. One chap sitting, say Niti Aayog or somebody in the ministry saying ऐसा करना है. It doesn't happen. You have to be up on your feet to look at it. That's why I keep saying this is the opportunity for us to lose. Next, you look at marketing and shipping. Very, 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 very important. If the Western markets are tanking, if the Chinese markets are tanking, your regional supply chain hub for whom? Have you thought about it? That it is going to be the global south. That means it is going to be low and medium tech. High tech may be limited and some high tech may be available as market in the West. But bulk of low and medium tech are going into the global south. Have you done a survey of global south to understand what is the kind of low and medium tech things are needed there, what they can buy, how they can do it? A lot of them are resource based. Have you thought about factoring in if the Chinese and the West are not able to buy those resources? Are you looking at buying those resources? Helping those companies by giving them investment out there so that at least you have a say in the policies and you have a resource security. Have you thought about it? I don't think. Just we've been saying there is opportunities, geoeconomic opportunities. I don't see these. I don't see in any paper anywhere. My wife and I keep watching these business news channels. I don't see anyone talking about these issues. See, this opportunity, nobody is going to come and give everything to you on a platter and say, "Bhai, le lo." आपको काम करना पड़ेगा और आपने काम नहीं किया तो ये अपॉर्चुनिटी गई आपके हाथ से. Okay. जब हम when we say high tech, some high tech can also be given to the West. How much can they absorb? What assessment has been done? If their companies are tanking, are you looking at why only looking at supply chains from China? If some of their companies are tanking, are you looking at relocating those companies to India? Or investing something out there and having a say in those policy decisions and making those companies work? And what are the markets for those companies? No, I don't see any of these studies or these discussions. Not even on your TV channels and media channels, anyone who's talking about all these business channels, nobody is discussing about these issues. ओ इसका ये शेयर प्राइस उठ गया, उसका ये कर दिया, इसने वो कर दिया. You to remember, the Japanese are up and about. Honda and Nissan have announced their merger. And by 2026, they're going to bring in Mitsubishi also. Do you realize how big an auto company that will become? Hyundai and Toyota and Suzuki are together. That's how Maruti is also working with So they want to create their own big hub, auto hub. Uski discussion मेरे को, I don't see anything. How is it going to impact our auto market? Why are they going in for it? What will be the positive and negative outcomes? How does it impact our automotive market? कोई नहीं. Now the most important thing, आप सोच तो रहे हो सब कुछ आप लेके आओगे, शिपिंग कैसे करोगे? The last report by Financial Times said close to 70% of international maritime trade route ports were either controlled or by China or had controlling stakes. And similarly, nearly 80% of the containers which you need, China controls them. And if China is tanking, who controls these ports and how are you going to do it? China went in because these European countries and other countries didn't have money. Have you thought about that? Are you identifying your companies and telling them start investing in those ports? Are you investing in getting your containers? How soon are you going to finish your 𝙒𝙪𝙤? Are you planning how soon will you make your 3 deep sea water ports, Vizhinjam, Vizag and Galathia in Andaman? How soon? इसके बगैर आप फैक्ट्री खड़ा कर दो, सामान कैसे लेके जाओ? एंड देन कंटेनर्स नहीं है तो पोर्ट में कैसे लेके जाओगे? आपका सामान पड़ा रहेगा, कंटेनर वोंट बी अवेलेबल. तो चाइना में बी इन स्ट्राइफ. हाउ डू यू मैनेज योर कंटेनर्स? How do you manage if Netherlands is telling today and Denmark is facing stagflation and Netherlands is saying that they are facing recession? What happens to Maersk Shipping, one of the biggest shipping company in the world? Have you thought about investing in them and taking some control and so that you can manage? These are the things you have to be thinking about if you think that you're going to be the fulcrum. ये नहीं सोचा तो कुछ नहीं होने वाला, वहीं के वहीं रहोगे. एंड इन सब में सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट आपका 𝙒𝙪𝙤 है. सड़कें तो बन रही हैं, सड़कें से सामान एक्सपोर्ट थोड़ी होता है till you don't have ports and till you don't have your own deep sea ports. So from these 𝙒𝙪𝙤 ports it has to come to these deep sea ports from where it will be taken. और ले जाने के लिए आपको शिपिंग चाहिए, ले जाने के लिए आपको कंटेनर्स चाहिए. वो चीन कंट्रोल कर रहा है और वो टैंक कर रहा है इकोनॉमी. सोचा है इसके बारे में? एंड लास्टली द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट व्हिच कम्स टू इज सिक्योरिटी. यस, पाकिस्तान इज टैंकिंग. यस, बांग्लादेश इज इन स्ट्राइफ. यस, चाइना इज इन स्ट्राइफ. ये सब सांप हैं, जब ट्रैप होते ना फन मारते हैं. So this is going to be, these 5-7 years are going to be your major internal and external security challenges. इसमें शक मत करना. You cannot trust PRC ever. And Pakistan, Bangladesh and PRC का तो पता है कि has invested tons and tons of money inside to create strife for you. So your internal and external security challenges will be there. So the modernization, capability development concurrently along with these has to go on of your security forces. Now I'm giving a strategy to become proactive. We had a wonderful strategy from March to November 71 before we went in the East. If US can replicate the Arab Spring and say कि हम ये सब करने वाले हैं, what stops you from replicating this to speed up their implosion and then involve them in a strife and divert their attention अपने internal strife पे? So that he has, it's not that he will not try to create trouble for you inside, but he has less time for that. जब उसके खुद के घर में आग लगी होगी तो थोड़ा मुश्किल होगा बाहर आग फेंकने में. So it's better to get them embroiled, and thereafter you take advantage of whatever you want to secure your strategic and national interests. ऐਵੇਂ ही बोलने से क्या फायदा है? आप भी कुछ करो ना. Rather than be reactive, be proactive, at least in your neighborhood. When you know that this is going to happen and he's going to create problems for you, it pays better to be proactive. So remember what I'm saying. The states and business houses now have to start coming up with their own study to see that what all they can absorb if India is supposed to become a major regional supply chain hub. What all they can bring in, that is very important. What kind of infrastructure, what energy needs are required, what raw material resources, what kind of skilled labor is required to take over those. And don't look just at China. Even look at a tanking Europe and see what companies you can bring in here. They'll be only too happy to come here and start working. Or if you want to keep them there and start investing and start controlling there. Nobody will say no to you now because they need the money. And shipping. You've got to start taking control of the shipping routes, as at least along the routes as a supply chain hub. You are going to send supplies. So your Sagarmala has to come up, your deep sea ports have to come up, your container traffic has to come up, and the key ports that are important for you for sending your saman, you got to start looking at those ports and seeing, can you take some controlling stakes or invest in them, start doing them. अंदर तो काम होगा, बाहर का लेके कैसे जाओगे? So I leave that thought with you, because I don't see this kind of discussion by the economists that what needs to be done. They just say, yes, India has an opportunity to become a supply chain hub. क्या चाहिए बनाने के लिए? वो नहीं आता. So that is where I will end, because I thought I need to give it a geoeconomic perspective, because this is an opportunity that you have. ये हाथ से गया, thank you, tata, bye bye. You would stay where you were. And then you will go back to saying, I am happy to be in a Hindu rate of growth.
Yeah, I think you laid out the whole sequence and how things are going to happen, how this global order is going to change, and how China is going to struggle, and all that. But I want you to explain a bit. We all said USA will have its economy going and things like that, and it will still be the leader of the pack, XYZ. But with Trump coming and the kind of statements he's coming out with, is he not going to induce a whole lot of turbulence in the global order himself?
So
Or USA will let
the advantage he has over his first term is the global order is in a much deeper turbulence today.
yeah, I agree with you.
ठीक है, sir.
So
Now his problem is going to be, will US economy stay at 1.5% growth, 1.6% growth, or can it improve? The problem I see is their dependence on low and medium tech totally on China. And China is tanking. Not that the US economy is doing very well, because their GDP is at 28 trillion, but the debt is going up, it is shooting up, it is 36, 37 trillion already. The debt to GDP ratio is going through the roof for them. Not that it matters, but the purchasing power that was there earlier is reducing, but yet the advantage that the Americans have is their economy is not as dependent on export as the Chinese. Internal consumption was the main issue. So that will carry on. Maybe it may reduce a little, but that will carry on. The problem is in the Europe is great that the purchasing power has collapsed because the energy rates have shot through the roof. So the business houses are shutting because they can't pay, and the cost at which they are making because of the high rates of electricity is making it difficult for them.
Yeah.
And that is where double, triple whammy, they are having a problem. And here comes Trump now suddenly telling that Europe should spend 5% of their GDP on that. Maybe he's
Yeah.
selling it because last time he said 2.5, they went to about 1.5. So he's saying maybe if I put 5, they might reach to 2.5. But 2.5, they can't spend now. Their problem is of paucity of funds. Will he look after his people or will he go and start making
Out.
things?
Yeah. So USA itself is in a bit of a question mark for many reasons. People think that Trump will come with a magic wand and clear everything. Nothing is going to happen. The world is going. वो कोई जादूगर नहीं है. I have another question. We dwelt a lot on what we need to do externally to make use of this opportunity. When I say externally, state governments, businesses, central government, all that we have. What do we need to do internally to make use of this opportunity? Because a lot depends on the internal strength of the nation. And I think the politics of this nation of ours is at its fractured best. So,
Basic issue,
yeah,
that's why I said that across the board, the states have to start looking at how can I make use of this opportunity that is given to me. Rather than
okay,
doing cheap politics and politicking against each other, start looking at this issue, that what are my strengths, what can I do, what can I bring, how can I make use of, which are these supply chain companies that I can set up here and make. And for that, that's why I said FICCI and CII and the business houses need to get together, that what are these policies you feel which are a hindrance to doing this in a faster manner? How should the policies be amended? Do you want something scrapped? Would you like the new policies to be brought in? And without these being done, it's going to be very difficult for India to take hold of this opportunity that you have.
yeah,
Internally, that
I
is what
think,
I want people to do. And in that, what is the kind of infrastructure? Okay, Gadkari is making his infrastructure, he is making his roads, fine. That doesn't suffice. What are you going to do? Where are your ancillaries coming up? How do you connect those ancillaries to your companies? How do they take it out to the ports? Which are these ports? Why is Sagarmala not progressing further? Every state has got to do that. If that doesn't come through, then we are just talking. That's about all.
yeah, I think so. I think you laid out everything that, look, there is going to be a huge turbulence in the global order. And in this turbulence, India has hope. India has an opportunity. And India has the capability. India has the potential to do everything, provided it puts certain things in place. And these are policies for external utilization and policies for internal, stabilization also. Thanks a lot for all of you who have joined. And I'd like to thank Gen Rajiv Narayanan for joining us and explaining this thing, the issue of turbulent global order from a geoeconomic point of view, because most of us look at it from a military point of view and lose the nuts and bolts of geoeconomics, which run the world and put food on your plate, right? And that is at risk today. And let us see how we navigate the future ahead. And simultaneously, like he rightly said, and I've always said, we have an opportunity. India can't waste it. Right. With this, thank you. Good evening and Jai Hind to all of you and Jai Bharat.
Jai Bharat, Jai Hind.